Hello and welcome back to Coffee Break Blogging, where today we're going to continue talking about high leverage content creation, how to make more content by putting in less effort to do it. Highly important for those of us who, we're a little lacking for time, whether it is we've got families, whether we've got a day job, whatever it might be, we need to be able to create good content and do it without giving our entire lives to it. So that's what we're going to be talking about here. Now, one thing we did touch on in the last episode where we started talking about this topic was the idea of outsourcing things. I talked about going to Fiverr and having somebody transcribe something. I did mention very briefly that I have a VA which helps me do some of this stuff. The VAs are very good, and you definitely should consider getting a virtual assistant. Even if you don't think that you're ready for it, there are ways to go. There are companies that you can use them on just an hourly basis. You can hire them full-time, obviously. You can also hire them part-time, and it doesn't cost very much. And if you're going to be utilizing them at any kind of regularity, it would definitely be worth it to do that. But outsourcing in general is a very important component of leverage and getting leverage with your content creation. It's something that you definitely want to consider doing. And when I say consider, don't just be like, yeah, no. You want to be thinking of this not just in terms of expense. You need to be thinking in terms of growing your business. And if you're going to grow your business, you can't do it just on the back of your own time, where you're basically your own slave, so to speak. You need to be looking for points of leverage. And there are people out there whose entire job is to do some of the things that you need to be doing, but yet those things are not going to grow your operation. You need to be focused on those things which are going to grow your operation. Now, creating content is a very important thing, and it needs to be in your own voice and consistent with your brand. So chances are, unless you've got a large team, that you are probably going to be the person who has to do that. But it doesn't mean that all the back end stuff now has to be done by you too. You are responsible for the ideas and recording of the ideas into something that can be consumed. But other people could very easily do all of the mechanics of that for you. And I think hiring a VA to do it is ideal. If you don't want to hire specifically a VA, then there are people that you can hire on Fiverr, on Odesk, and what have you to get these things done. Put the time in to find these people, get them available, try a few out, see what works for you. But with all that said and done, what are you going to have them do? So let's talk about that, some specific tactics that you can use to get more leverage from your time when it comes to content creation. The first thing, and I've done this many times, is to record a video. And then what you do with the video is you rip the audio out of it. You literally just export just the audio portion of it, and you turn that audio from the video into a podcast. So far we've got two different things. We've got a video and we've got an audio podcast. Now you have somebody transcribe the audio, and you now have a written component. So what do we have now? We've got three different things from one piece of content. We've got a video, we've got a podcast, and we have a written piece of content. Now, depending on the length of that transcript, you could turn it into a full-on report. You could turn it into a blog post. You could take just a section of it and turn it into a blog post. There's lots of things that you can do, but here's what we've done. We've created three different formats: video, audio, and written, but yet you, as the owner, only had to sit down and do one of them. And not only that, on the video, you can have somebody else do the editing for it. So you don't even have to do that. You could literally point your phone in your face, talk about something, upload it, and have somebody else take over from there and do all the rest. Lots of things that you can do there. And this is very high leverage content creation when you can create one thing and output three or more. Another thing that you can do, and in fact, I'm doing it right this minute, and that is that I record myself actually doing my podcast. Now, I'm actually recording this podcast right now. I'm sitting here at my desk, talking into my mic. GarageBand is doing the recording, but I'm also simultaneously recording a video. And if you're on YouTube right now and you're watching me, You're watching the video part of it. So literally the videos are nothing more than recording of me recording my podcast. So what I actually do is I use ScreenFlow on my Mac. I start the recording on ScreenFlow, and then after that I go and I start the recording in GarageBand. So as it sits right now, I have both GarageBand and ScreenFlow simultaneously recording. One is doing the video, one is doing the audio. And then I have a little tiny bit of post-production that I do when I'm done. They go up to Dropbox, and then guess what? My VA takes over. I've got a very nice system written for her where she processes all this stuff, gets it out there, gets it into iTunes, gets it on my blog. That's it. That's high leverage content creation. Another idea that you could do is to repurpose pieces of your past blog post into things that you could then share on social media. Now, where this idea came from is the observation on Facebook and Google Plus and stuff like that is that many times it's the more in-depth posts that do really well. People want meat. They want some real content. So if you have a Facebook page for your business or your blog, if all you do is link drop on there, they're not going to pay as much attention and your engagement's going to be really low. And I know because quite frankly, I've done a lot of that on my page. My page on Facebook is not a very high priority to me because I don't think it's all that important of an asset, to be honest with you. But I do use it. And I've noticed even in my own stuff that if I just link drop my latest blog post, I get just a tiny little bit of engagement, not much at all. If I post something that's got some meat to it, like it's almost like a blog post in and of itself, but it's actually a post on my Facebook page, I get more. Or I'll even sometimes have people reshare it. Now, you might think, well, crap, that means I have to create all these little things just for social. No, go back into your blog post, find good passages of stuff that you've already written, and reshare those as blurbs out on social media. Another thing that you could do is take quotes from your own blog post and put them into image form. And then you could share out those quotable images out on Facebook, on Pinterest, on Flickr, any place where an image will work, and that is many places. And you're leveraging stuff that you've already done. Now think about this all the way up the food chain. Let's say that all of this started all because you just pointed the phone in your face and talked for about 5 minutes and recorded a video and uploaded it. And then the system and somebody else like a VA or an outsourcer took over from there. All of these things, including quotable images, various things that you could share on social media, all of it was the result of 5 minutes of work with a phone in your face. How awesome is that, right? Now, here's another thing that you can do. If you want to create a report or a white paper or something like that, something that has a little higher perceived value, but yet again, the writing of it takes a while, you could speak the whole thing out using your phone. I actually have an app on here. I'm looking at my phone right now. I think it's called Dictamus. It was not a free app. I think it's called Dictamus. It's a dictaphone on your iPhone. And you can record whatever you want, and then with one button you can export it into all kinds of different places, and you put it on Dropbox, do whatever the hell you want with it. But you can use something like that, turn your phone into a dictaphone and allow you to actually write reports using your phone. And again, you could do this while you're driving or whatever. But of course, if you want to put a little bit more thought into it, make sure you get it right, maybe not be distracted by traffic. You could do it while you're at your desk, but it's going to go so much faster when you speak it than if you were to actually sit down and write it. Here's another thing that you can do, and I've done this 2 or 3 times, and that is that I do a Q&A webinar. So I'll go to my list and I'll announce a Q&A webinar. Literally, the entire purpose of the webinar is to do nothing but Q&A. They can come on and they can attend that thing in real time if you want. But then what you do is you record the entire webinar. Now, as you go through it, you have each question shown on the screen, on your slide. And then after that, you go and you answer it. And then the next question, you show the question, and then you go and you answer it. So let's say if you take 15 or 20 questions on this Q&A webinar, and you just simply loop through them on the webinar and answer them, then you're going to have a recording. Now, it'll be one long recording that's going to have answers to 15 or 20 different questions, however many you decide to take. Now, here's what you can do. You can then take that recording and you can split it up into one question per video. Okay? And now what you're going to do from there is you're going to have now 15 or 20 different videos, all with a question that your prospects or your audience asked. You could put those things out on all the video sites, every single one of those things, on YouTube, on Made a Cafe, on Dailymotion, on Vimeo, whatever floats your boat. Post it up on your Facebook page. That's a lot of content right there. From one webinar and a little bit of prep time beforehand, you just created 10 to 15 to 20 different videos. Now, each one of those is multiplied out by how many different places on the internet that you post them all. You could literally have 100 to 150 different pieces of real estate out there on the internet done for you, all fairly keyword optimized around questions that your prospects ask because they actually asked it, all from doing a 1-hour webinar. Okay? That's another very high example, a very good example of high leverage content. Another thing, when it comes to creating a report, or even if you want to write a book, you could take content that you've already written on your blog and repurpose it into a report or even your book. Let's say you want to get a Kindle book out there just to have a presence on Amazon.com. Well, you don't have to rewrite everything or write that thing from scratch. You can take stuff that you've already written, repurpose it, and put it out there in Kindle format. Good, high leverage. Now, does that mean that it's literally just going to be a copy and paste job? Probably not. You're probably going to make some modifications, make sure that it flows well. But if you could save yourself 50% of the labor by using the stuff that you've already made, wouldn't that be effective? Wouldn't that be of high leverage? You're damn right it would. One last one I want to mention, and this is one where you don't even have to actually make the original content, and that's using curation. It's called the curation model, where you're literally, your value proposition to the marketplace at that point is to gather other people's content together, digest it into a way where it's highly presentable and highly useful to your readers or your prospects. So what you can do is you can compile a massive resource of tips or techniques all centered around one particular thing that your audience really wants. So I know from my traffic, my stats, that the idea of blog promotion or blog monetization are two very hot topics with my market. So if I were to create a massive resource post centered around those ideas, like maybe 101 ways to promote your blog, that would be really powerful. But the thing is, I don't have to necessarily come up with all 101 ways. I could put myself into the role of researcher, go out on other people's sites, find those 101 things, and curate them into a blog post, where every single one of those 101 things were something that I found on somebody else's site. Now, the whole key here is that you're going to link out to all of these other places. You're going to link to them. You're not taking their stuff. You're going to take their idea. You're going to put your own quick analysis of it, and you're going to link to the original source. And so you're going to have a massive resource here. It's going to be highly useful to your prospects, but then you also have all these people you link to. So guess what you can do from there? You can actually go and email all 101 of those people that you link to, tell them, hey, I linked to this thing. I really like what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. You might find this useful, or maybe you want to share this with your people. Some of them are going to do it, and you just built yourself some backlinks to your curated post. Again, high leverage, high leverage. Now, there's a couple things I want to end off this episode on. First one is I want you to have this as a mindset. And I want this to be something that's in your mindset often. The idea of leverage, finding points of leverage. Look for ways that you can get more results than the effort that you put into it. Every idea that I've given you here on this episode is all ways of creating content with less effort and getting a lot more output from it. So that's a very important mindset, not just with content creation, but with other things as you grow your business, is looking for points of leverage. The other thing, and this is important when it comes to doing all this, is that I do not want you to shoot for perfection. I don't want you to think that that you have to have perfectly formatted content in order to release it. For example, I talked earlier about the idea of simply putting a phone in your face and talking. Well, that kind of video is going to look exactly like a video that was recorded on a phone. Now, if you think that your video has to look like it was produced in Hollywood in order to release it, you might shoot yourself in the foot and not do it because you don't think it's good enough. I don't want you to go there with it, okay? It's better to put content out than to put out none at all. So don't shoot for perfection. You'll get better at it over time. And as your systems perfect, you'll find different ways of still creating higher quality things, but still reducing the amount of time that it takes to do it. So there are ways. For example, with the phone, iMovie on your iPhone, if you have an iPhone, is a great little movie editor. So you can at least put an intro and an outro reel on the end of the video and the beginning of the video and do it all on your phone before you export it. So little things, you could set up a tripod that is capable of holding your phone, but have it permanently set up in your office or your home office. And so then you don't have the shaky thing going on when you're trying to record a video. It can be, it can be steady. Just little system things that you can do to make the production value a little bit better, but still think about speed and leverage. Okay, so this episode's going a little bit long. I think we're going to go ahead and end it here. Also, before I cough my brains out, I'm really fighting the cough as I record these episodes. So hopefully that was very valuable for you. I highly encourage you to implement as much of this as you can. It will take a little bit of ramp up time. This is not instantaneous type stuff, but do it because you will get much larger results from your blogging if you do. Okay, thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.